Okay, this looks good. I'm gonna make sure I can see the chat. Okay, hopefully everybody can hear me and see me, and so glad that you're here today. We're going to be working on the cement project, and so this is going to get messy. So if you're going to be doing this, I recommend you use your drop cloth. This is what we've included, and let me grab one out of another kit. So this is the drop cloth. It's actually a rectangular tablecloth, and so I'm going to lay this out and make a zone that I can easily clean up later. So I'm going to spread this out first before I get started. I already unwrapped mine earlier. Just gave us just a couple minutes there. It's too big for me to use on the table. I can just see that right away. So I'm going to fold it over so it's not as big. Okay, so I have a nice white plastic background, and then I have my space here, my form. I have my bag of glass. I have my my letters and everything, and most importantly, I have my design that I'm going by. So as soon as I pour the cement, then I'm going to work to create this design with the handprint. The handprint will not quite fit, so maybe I'll do like a fist print, or no, I still probably want to try to do a handprint in here. So like this, and so it'll be a little bit of a variation of what I have here, but it'll be close, okay? I also have this little roll that I want to try to use if I have a little bit of extra to create a little cylinder out of, if I have a little bit of an extra that doesn't fit. Because we're putting this form in here, at least in my example, and the form will displace some of the cement. So I want to, if I have a little extra, just do something with this. Okay. So I'm going to put the form to the side for now and focus on the bucket. The bucket and the cement. So here's my bucket. Here's my cement. I'm going to go ahead and cut the top off, and I'm going to cut the top off really easily. I'm going to grab my box cutter from my toolkit. Of course, I for sure am already wearing my safety glasses. So box cutter. Let's cut open this bag. Okay, I just cut this cut this part of the top off. Retract the blade. You don't want to leave the blade out. This is ready. This is ready now. Okay, so I'm going to split that to the side. So then I have my bucket, and let me grab my instructions. I'm going to go ahead and open these other things up too. While I'm at it, I'm going to open a little corner off of the bag of glass, and I'm going to open, so I just took the corner off of the bag of glass so I don't make a big mess. So just a little hole right there. And for the letters, you might want to break these out earlier so you can take them apart and have them ready to go. So I didn't do that. And then you have your glass beads in here. Okay, so basically everything's open. I'm cutting through these with the box cutter. So let's okay, got through those. I'm trying to cut away from myself so I don't catch my fingers. Boy, these are tough. These are really tough pieces. So I'm just going to spin them. Spinning them seems to break them apart. And if you had a couple of letters you really wanted, then maybe you could get those ready right away. So you have them in a sequence for when you're ready to use them. This is going to take me a little bit to go through, but I'm only trying to say work hard. So we'll get to that in a second. The wrapping from the box, this was for our inventory, and then you do have some great examples of what it could look like here, so that's cool. This is a really important picture in the planning because this is the consistency you want it, and then I just want you to pay attention to the consistency a lot. As I pour it, it should be thick and chunky, like a oatmeal. I think that's the best I could describe it as. On the inside of these, we have your materials, right? So we have our idea. We have the bucket, a putty knife or spatula. I'm just going to use the mixing stick because I don't have anything like that. And newspaper. So we don't have newspaper, we have a drop cloth, so we're in a better space. Choose a workspace where your stone can stay undisturbed for 24 hours after you decorate it, or place it on a board so then you can move it without bending the mold. Oh, okay. So I'll do it on a board on top so I can just pick it up. So I'm gonna go grab a board, and it doesn't mean you need a board, it just means you need to consider where you're gonna do this. Okay, so I'm gonna do the board. I'm gonna do it on top of the board, so then I can just pick it up and move it when I'm done. You don't need to do that if you have a place where this can sit and cure for 24 hours. It shouldn't be moved once we do it, so it doesn't crack. So, okay, so then I'll just be able to pick this up when I'm done. Okay, so I'll put that off to the side for now. Go back to the instructions. And before you begin, plan the design. We totally did that. And okay, I'm pretty happy. We're in step one, mix. Gently empty the stepping stone mix into a large bucket. Avoid breathing the dust. Stir in slightly less than 2 cups of water all at once and begin mixing. If needed, add 1 tablespoon of water at a time until the mixture is easy to stir. It should look like brownie batter. See the pour photograph for the right consistency. So they're talking about this one. This is the pour photograph. And empty the mixture into the mold all at once and use a spatula, putty knife, or other smooth edge tool to smooth the surface. Leave the mold on the work surface. Grasp two corners and gently jiggle it back and forth until the surface levels out. This is a good time for you to quickly clean up the container and the tools. Just give them a rinse with a garden hose. So they're expecting you to either do this outside, but if you have to do it in the kitchen, just really make sure you put down this drop cloth. Never rinse, mix down the sink. Ah, very good. Any of the extra stuff should be poured into the trash, or should be poured into a place where you don't mind having some extra stones and debris, because we're going to have to rinse this bucket out as soon as we're done. The decoration, well, I think that's going to stand. That's going to be self-explanatory as we get going. And there's a couple of informational pieces here. Stamp, write your message in the stone stamps. If you have any questions, refer to the rubric, and that has the different categories of what we're looking for to get to max out on the points. You're ready to stamp as soon as the toothpick leaves a clean, dry-looking mark in about 30 seconds. Okay, so this is a time-sensitive thing, and it might be too wet if I add too much water, and then that could lead us to a delay here before the cement is the right consistency for us to actually stamp and interact with it. Okay, finishing. When the stone is about 12 hours old, use a toothbrush, dish soap, and water and clean the surface of the glass, leaving the stone in the mold for now. Wait at least 24 hours to remove the stone from the mold. If you remove it sooner, it may crack. Once you take it out of the mold, scrape the edges with the shank of the screwdriver. Wash the stone with dish soap and water to make the glass shine. So there will be some type of a powdery residue on the glass. And what they're talking about here is if you wipe it down, then you'll be able to have it will look brighter. This perimeter area is just an example of a non-reinforced foundational piece. So I'm just trying to talk about that in this space here around the outside. My second example will not have this. It will just be the solid piece with the design, and maybe a little notch. And then this outside perimeter piece will probably crack, this outside, and that's okay. I want to illustrate what happens if we don't put in rebar or some type of wire inside the cement. And so I just want to talk about what its properties are, and actually understanding materials properties. Sometimes the best way to experience it is to actually break it a little bit, to push the materials to their limits and then experience what that looks like. Okay, so let's look at the bucket. We're ready to start mixing. It says that I need 2 cups of water approximately, and so I have 16 ounces right there. So I'm gonna, that's 2 cups. I'm gonna start with that. And if you have a measuring cup, then that would be more accurate. And so it says that it's slightly less than 2 cups. So I would just put like 2 cups in and then see where it goes from there. So I'm gonna go fill this up with some water. And then once I fill it up with the water and place it on a level surface, look at the measurement on the side while it's level, then I'm gonna add the cement in. There's gonna be a lot of dust at that point, so you're gonna wanna be very careful not to breathe it in. So I'll be right back with the water. Okay, I have the water in the bucket, and normally it says it wants you to have the cement in the bucket already and then add the water, but I do not have the luxury of having an extra measuring cup. I'm trying to really push myself and only use the things that I've provided for you to be able to make this happen. So here we go. I'm going to put this in, and then there's a stirring stick, and I just had it. Here it is. So I have your stirring stick ready, and you're going to be like, here. If you're wearing any type of jewelry, get it off. This is going to be messy. Okay. Also, if you're going to be doing this, don't wear your nice clothes. All right. It's going to get a little messy. So now I'm going to take the open bag of cement and pour it in. Okay. Here we go, autofocus. Here we go. I'm gonna get it nice and low. I'm getting it towards the bottom and just pouring it all in close to the bottom. Slow, because it's making a lot of dust. So I'm gonna hold my breath now. Boy, that's dusty. Okay, now I'm slowly gonna start mixing. The more violent, more vigorously you mix this, the less, the more dust is gonna come up. At first, I'm pulling it off the sides to the center and scraping the bottom. It's easier to go in on the sides, and that's in the edges and the bottom corners is where it usually likes to hide the dry parts. You need to get this all, the smell, I like that smell. I like it now that the powder is all gone and it's wet. It has a certain smell to it. And you can definitely see this consistency. Do you see how thick it is? Look at it, it's just staying on the stick. Look, I've even inverted it completely and it's not falling off of the stick. Look how nice and thick that is. That is a great consistency. Okay, so now that it's going well, I'm gonna start stirring it more. And I'm going back and forth trying to scrape the bottom to make sure that there is absolutely no powder on the bottom. What I don't want is for there to be a pocket of dry stuff in here that I didn't mix it well enough. And then that dry stuff, because it didn't get mixed with water, isn't activated and it never really cures. So you have a weak spot. It can make the cracking happen sooner. Okay. I'm rotating it. Scraping the bottom. Going back and forth, scraping the bottom. This consistency looks great. I really like this. It's nice and thick. So I think this will pour very nicely. Here, let's see if you can see this drop down. Okay, so just so you can see that consistency. It's very thick. It almost like stays on the it stays on the stick even though I'm holding it sideways. Look at that. That's a really good consistency. If it's too watery at this point, you added too much water, that's not good, okay? So I added the 2 cups of water, and it really does look just like the perfect amount. I like it. Yeah, it does look how that batter-like consistency of a brownie mix. Okay, great. Okay, I'm convinced I've done this enough, and now it's time to get the mold. Okay, I'm gonna put that piece up, and here we go. Right there. Right there. Okay. So for my other piece, I hadn't thought about this one too much, but I'll just put it on the side over here if I have any extra, and hopefully it won't leak too much. But if you're gonna try that, I would tape it, actually tape the bottom shut. Oh, let me just do that. Just have my duct tape that we had used before. I'm going to tape a cap on the bottom of this. So I'm taping the bottom, not with a little bit, with a lot. Going all the way up the sides, and now I'm gonna wrap it again. I'm trying to create a watertight bottom so it doesn't leak. If I have some extra, I'm gonna put it in there. And then this is gonna look like something that happens in the cement pouring where we actually do columns. And the columns do have a cardboard outside that you take off later. So I think that that's a good example there. Okay, let's get to pouring. I'm gonna start in the center and work my way out. Okay, now that I've gotten a lot of it in the center, I'm going to start putting it on the outside. Trying to do this so you can see it is pretty difficult, but I think you can see most of it. This is getting really heavy now. I'm just trying to scrape the last little bit out. Okay, before I start working around with this, we have plenty of time. This needs to get washed out because if you don't wash this out right now, it just really all sticks to the sides. So I'm going to leave this for a second and go wash out the bucket. Okay, so the bucket is rinsed off. I'm gonna hit the autofocus on this. I don't think it's, there we go, that's better. Okay, so I'm gonna start working with this, and I can see already I have a little too much in the middle, so I'm gonna bring that outside and just do a little bit of a outside piece. The outside isn't really what I'm super concerned about. I'm more concerned about the inside, but I want to get a nice little piece on the outside so we can, I'm kind of jiggling it. If you kind of pat it, it brings the water to the top and it's smoother. Okay. This is what they're talking about jiggling it. I'm gonna jiggle the whole mold in a second. Let me just get it into the corners before I do that so that it can have a really good effect on it. Okay. So this is the easy part if you have a board, and not the easy part if you don't have a board. So the board, you're just like, I'm just shaking it and it's settling. It's settling. It's like leveling itself out. And if you don't have the board, you might need to like twist it more, because if you try to go back and forth, you see it doesn't work. So you might want to grab the corners and go like this, so it sits down a little bit better. Okay. Wow, it really, all of a sudden, doing that really changed the whole look of it. You see how flat it looks now? There's almost no bubbles. Oh, this is the way that you get the bubbles out. So I'm kind of stabbing at it, getting down low, stabbing at it, because there's bubbles that are right on the edge. So I'm gonna stab at it, go all the way around, and then I'm gonna shake it again. That takes care of all the bubbles. Now I know it just messed it up, and it's like it was smooth before. Just scrape a little bit of that off. Now I'm gonna jiggle it again. It's really settling down now. Okay, so I think that now that it's settled down, you see a lot of bubbles coming up to the surface. That's great. You want that to happen. You want the bubbles to come out now. If the bubbles don't come out, then they stay stuck in it and they'll leave an imperfection in the surface. So if you see little bubbles, go ahead and give them a pop, 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 pop. Up, I see a ton of bubbles coming up. Pop, pop. I'm popping all the bubbles. I can also see that the consistency of this is going to be pretty wet. So I don't know whether we're going to get as far as I wanted. Oh, I did want to get a little bit into here, into this little container for a bonus. I'm going to take a little bit out of the center, just a little bit, and a little bit from the outside, just a little bit. I'm trying to pat it, and then I'll shake it some more. Let me get a little bit more. I'm just, and then I'm hitting it so it all drops down to the bottom. Trying to get all the bubbles out. I'm actually going to hit it from the bottom, on the bottom of this, so that all the bubbles come out. There, I have about an inch and a half of cement in there. And then let's go back to this, smoothing this out. I thought that I had used not enough water initially, but now I can see that I used way a perfect amount of water. This is the exact consistency that you want it, but it's going to be a little bit until we're able to put our designs in. Okay, now that I've shaken it enough, it has a really smooth appearance. It looks really nice, and the last of the bubbles are getting out. Wow, as I'm just waiting, a whole bunch of bubbles are coming up. Tons of bubbles. It's not terrible that the bubbles are coming up. You want them to get out of your stuff, so maybe you just keep shaking it more so that more of the bubbles come up. This looks great. Now, I mean, I could try to make an impression in here now. I know I have to do like the hand and the other stuff. So I'm gonna try it just to see what it does, even though I think it's way too wet right now. Okay, so this is just an example of how I feel like it's a little mess. It will not work out, but I'm gonna do it on purpose. Okay, so I'm gonna put my hand in. Shake it a little bit, and then I'm going to take it out. Oh, it worked. It worked. It's a little wet, and then you will have that mess on your hand. You pretty much get, I think, one chance at doing this. Look, I'll try to do it again, but I hope it doesn't mess it up too much. So very closely. I'm shaking my hand in there, getting my hand to go deeper into the cavity. Now I'm going to pull it out. That came out pretty nice. Okay, I'm gonna go wash my hand off and then I'm gonna start decorating. Okay, so this is where I bring in my design. So I'm going to try to recreate a design similar to this. The perimeter pour is already done. That's the outside. It's more of a sacrificial part of this design that I made because I want to, once I take the center out, I want us to feel how strong this is without any reinforcement. And that means that there's nothing inside this. Okay. So let's get some of our glass. I'm just pouring a little bit out into my hand. There's like all these different colors. So I'm just gonna start putting, oh, maybe I need to choose my words first. Okay, let's see if I can get a W in for work hard. I will do work over here. Let's see if I can do that. Pushing that in. Cool, that worked out. W-O. O. R. I found the K. Yeah, I totally recommend finding them earlier. Yeah, I need the R, but I found the K already. Okay. R. No. 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 It's like the last one I'm gonna go over. No. R. Second to last one. Here's the R. Work. If you let it dry a little bit more when you're doing it, then it won't fill in like it's going for me. Work. It's R. The R's really isn't pronounced. Yeah, R, work. And then hard, H-A-R-D, H. I found the H and the D, the A, and then I already have the R over here somewhere. Okay. H. Yeah, I couldn't fit it in my normal space. H. A. R. I'm gently pushing it in and just pulling it straight out. D. Gently push it in and pull it straight out. Oh, I did it backwards. That's messing up. So let me try to erase this really quickly. Okay, now I'm going to try to do it again. Okay, there's my D. And then I can start doing some of the glass. I really like the green glass and I don't have a ton of room. So I'm going to pull out a lot of the green stuff. You know, it's whatever colors that you want. And so I'm going to put in, you know, push it in a little bit below the surface so that all the edges are good, are a little deep. You want it to clutch, the sides to really clutch. Because if they don't hold it well, then they're just going to come out. Okay. So it's like they're just a little bit below the surface. Let me see if I have any great suggestions for this. The top of the glass level is level with the surface of the stone, so it will stay in place. And so you have to leave a little bit of space in between them. Here's a good indication of like the amount of space. And then I'm just going to keep adding my glass pieces. And I know we're just about out of time, but I think this is going to finish up right now quite well. I'm just kind of trying to fit more in anywhere I can. Here's a big piece. If the piece is too big and it doesn't fit in your design, then you're going to have to leave it out. And here's another little piece. And here's two more little pieces. We have 1 minute left. Let me just try to finish this. Getting a couple more pieces in here. And if you get a little bit on top, don't worry about it now. You'll wipe that off later. Here's another one I can fit in between the fingers because it's nice and small. Here's another nice and small piece. Okay, so I did my work hard. I feel like I got my objectives. I made an impression. The impression was the hand, the work hard, and the putting in the inlay of the glass. That was good. If I had one observation about this, no, it doesn't have to be your hand. If I had one observation about this, I would put the glass in first, and then I would do the letters afterwards. As this becomes harder, the letters will become more clear. So that's about all the time we have for today. Thank you for watching this project, and I hope you have enjoyed it. We'll leave this in a place where it can dry without being disturbed for 24 hours.